Consent is the key. The key. How often have you heard this sentence? I bet a lot because it is the mantra of the sex positive community in Berlin and around the world. I also personally bumped into a number of profiles on dating apps with the sentence on it. The concept seems to be spread all over the community. I realize that many do not really grasp the full meaning of it. I'm Pierre, and of course, you're watching Kink-Y Talks. But let me take a step back. In the previous episode, I mentioned the 4 pillars of our community. Consent is definitely one of them, but it's probably the most complex, so I would like to start from the other 3. We believe there is no shame in exploring your kinks and your fantasies. Our events offer a space where you can be yourself, free from judgments. Safety is paramount. We implement strict rules both in our Telegram group and at our events, and we remind those rules at the beginning of each event. When it comes to our guests, we prioritize familiar faces and friends of friends, and in case of a new profile, we screen them carefully. During the event, we remain always aware and available to ensure everyone's safety. Our doors are open to everyone, regardless of gender, sexuality, or identity. If you're kind and respectful, you're welcome here. We celebrate diversity and individuality. While the other 3 pillars are a bit easier to understand, I believe the consent is tricky and more complex. Almost everybody I met understands the difference between a yes and a no. But we all agree that consent is a lot more than this. But let me give you a few examples. For instance, making people feel hunted because you're pushy or targeted, and forcing them to be defensive and to redefine their boundaries constantly because you constantly cross it in the attempt of reaching your goal. Or getting closer to a group who's playing, asking if you can join, and even though they didn't show any sign of interest and they were really into each other, so you distract them, and maybe then upon a refusal you also decide to linger nearby too close, and maybe touching yourself and watching them in a kind of an awkward way. Or another example could be that without a proper negotiation, you decide to add a few elements of BDSM, impact play, or spanking, or choking, or simply wrapping your hand around their neck because you assume that they might like, or because you heard that they are sub kind of a people. All of these examples would then fit the definition of consensual play. Sometimes I have to ask someone to pay more attention because their behavior is not perceived as a consensual. 99% of the times they are not aware, and this lack of awareness is the real problem, and is the reason why we are making this video today. But why consent is so complex? Consent is not a list of simple actions that you can execute all the times the same to be sure you can call yourself a consensual player. Playing within the line of consent depends on you and the people you are interacting with. The combination is unique and every time is different. Also with the same person that can be in a different phase or in a different mood. So consent is something dynamic, floating, like a dance. It's like a tango, and you have to know how to dance and how to feel the other person who's dancing with you in order to keep the balance. This might shock you, but even the most aware and consensual, respectful person could one day, due to a number of variables, be perceived as a non-consensual player. The line to draw, it's kinda easy. You and the people you are interacting with don't have to feel under pressure, stressed, uncomfortable, or annoyed by the situation. And no, it's not enough to put yourself in someone else's shoes. because this is a very personal and intimate sphere, and what works for you might not work for the other person. So the level we are talking about, it's so much deeper than the line that separates you from an harasser. The consent is something that is there to make feel other people comfortable and happy.
Hello, everybody. Good morning. I know you're recording.
This is gonna be the end of the video.
Mhm.